Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today?
Good.
How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
It's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing? Welcome to First Contact Radio. I decided to make a return, or it was time to make a return. It's been a little while. I took 2 weeks off, and today being the beginning of the Aquarian sun, I figured it was a good time as any to begin doing the shows again. Let's jump into things all right, today what we've got here is the 20th of January, so we're just moving right along in this year. We see we had a triangle between the moon sign, which is here in Scorpio, and Venus. This happened at 3:42 a.m., but nothing otherwise coming up the course of this day. So what we have is we have the Aquarian sun. Aquarius is the symbol that deals with kind of the futuristic ideas. When we think of the term the age of Aquarius, it's an air sign, so it deals with words and actions. The words and actions we use to create that which is in front of us. In Tarot, we're challenged to use the understanding of this principle to be able to take a deeper look inside of ourselves via meditation. That way we can find the answers that we're looking for. We have a water sign for the moon sign, which is Scorpio, which is all about emotions, feelings, things that are way deep down in our emotions and feelings. That's why there's that darkness applied to them. Not because they're dark as in bad, just that they've been so far away from the sunlight that they've been in the darkness. And that's simply all that one is there. So we have the sun sign, which is an air sign, and the moon sign, which is a water sign. So air and water working together. Those are the energies we're dealing with. So think of how air and water work in life, and then think of how air and water work in you, emotions and thoughts. Okay? Words. The air is the words and the actions. The water is the emotions. So just think how you balance your thoughts and your emotions. And just consider that as you go through the course of this day. Alright. I want to bring up a couple other things for us to start looking at in the mornings. This here's the Sky Live. This is a nice blog of where the planets and the stars are out there at any given time. So this is just a little reference chart for you. Be able to take this, check it out, see what's going on, see how far all of the planets are from us, constellation they're in at the moment, what comets are out there that we need to be aware of. Alright. And we'll get more into that as we go along from show to show. Let's go over here and let's look at our current moon phase. We are 83% of the way full. We are a waning moon, which means we're going down from the full moon back down to the new moon. The Mayan Oracle, we're at a 9-tone day. 9-tone day, and the kin for today is the wind, so today would be the solar wind. Excuse me, a 4-tone wind, not 9. 4 tone, so that's the self-existing tone. So it's a self-existing wind, and the guide for today is the mirror. So self-existent wind, guided by the mirror. And then the supporting cast members. You have the like-minded energy. Today is navigation. The challenge for today is free will, and our hidden power is the gathering of energy that we have. The wave spell that we're on right now is the wave spell of the storm. So that which is our hidden power right now, we're in that full wave spell. So if you kind of get an understanding of that hidden power within you, and just think about that as the theme for this period of 13 days that we're in. We're in the 4th day of these 13-day theme. Okay, the phrase for today is I define in order to communicate measuring breath. I seal the input of spirit with the self-existing tone of form. I am guided by the power of endlessness. Now down here there's a couple other things to look at. What I just read you was the dream spell date. The dream spell is the Mayan calendar that was changed and adjusted according to some correlations that Jose Arguelles felt needed to be made. However, we can look over at some of these others, and we can see that on the Mayan Tzolk'in, which is the original, today would be a 9 men. So there's a little bit of a difference in the counting. The 9 men, okay, as opposed to the self-existing wind. And then we have a different date, 13 Amuan would be the date on the Hab, which is another one of the systems of looking at it. And you can use this grid here to look at all the different ways. So here, if we're looking at this just by clicking on the long count, we're going to look here and we're going to see information about the long count, what this day is. The long count uses a different way to count than the base 10 used in the modern cultures. Each of the 5 positions has a different number of days for one unit. For instance, the tune position has 360 days for each tune, so 5 tune equals 1800 days. If we do the calculation for each of the long count positions, then add all the 5 numbers up, we get the number of days since August 11th, 3114 BC. The long count just counts one day after another and uses the bar number and dot number system with face glyphs, maintaining the positions. We also know that the same numerical information, if we count from today, December 31st was starting back with 11,371, 142. This uses the Goodman-Martinez-Thompson correlation date of August 11th, 3114 BC, which was long count date 000. And so it's another way of looking at time. And so the reason that we look at this dream spell is that one of the things that Jose Arguelles noticed was that there was something was off in the way that we were looking at the Tzolk'in, the way in which we were looking at that long count calendar. And he felt that over the course of time, by us adding in the leap years back and forth, there was one way that we got off track. And so his correlation was based on that idea, and that's what the dream spell is about. What you want to do is you want to just find out what resonates to you. Now you may ask yourself, well, why do we even want to look at the Mayan calendar, consider anything about it, considering that the dates we heard about have come to an end? Well, there's a very specific reason. Right here, as you can see, we've got a circle, right? So this is basically how the Mayan calendar is. It's a circle. It's a cycle. And this particular one, the Tzolk'in, has 20 rows. It has 13 columns. You start up at the top left, and you count from the top all the way down to the bottom, 1 through 20. And then when you get to the bottom, you go to the top of the next row and you count down again. When you get to the bottom, you go to the top of the next row. and so on and so forth, all the way till you get to the bottom here. Now it's this date, this is the place where the December 21st, 2012 fell on this, which is why they were saying that this is the big date, that this is all coming to an end. But then there was also, in 2011, there was a date. And this date, this ending point, has come up many other times. Because all that goes on is this is charting time, nature, the cycles of energy that are moving every day. Life hasn't ended. Life is not about to end in the way that we imagine it was going to end. So when we got to the bottom here, and this 13-day ended, we just went to the top of the next day and we started again. And so that's why it's important, because cycles within cycles within cycles are still moving on. And so perhaps as we continue to understand a bit more of how these cycles operate and what they really mean, we'll understand the deeper aspect of what they're about. Because if the cycles didn't end, there's obviously something important for us to learn about them, to learn which cycles to follow. I like to look at as many different ones as possible, because we have different timing frequencies that are out there. More the merrier. We can learn from all. Kind of like looking at different time zones is basically the way I look at it. Alright, and over here let's look at space weather. Space weather shows us our solar wind for today. 287.7 kilometers per second. The planetary K index is 1. Corona holes, we can see we have one up top here. Our M-class flare possibilities down to 10, X-class 1%, and our geomagnetic storm activity is pretty low as well. Alright, let's look over here. We've got another site. This is Space Weather Prediction Center, NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center, so we can get another look at things. Here we have the latest image. This is from one of the observatories, one of the satellites, GOES. So just like the image you saw on the other one, here we have wind speeds. Another way of looking at it, instead of seeing it numerically, you see it on a graph like this. Okay. And if we want to take a further look at the sun here, what we have is the Soho movie theater. And this is to look at the sun through a variety of different filters. If we want to just click the sun now, here they are in all these different filters. You can see what they are. And just ways of looking at the sun so we can see what's going on with it. Alright. So there you have it. That's what's going on today. That's the energy out there in today. Now, see, I think it's really important that we look at every day and we understand what is the energy we're dealing with as we go out into the world. It's something that I personally find very useful for me. You know, over this last 2 weeks, I took some time off because, well, first I didn't quite know why I took time off. I felt that I'd come to a point where I talked about every subject that is out there over the last 4 years of doing the show. I've gone non-stop 5 days a week. You know, despite traveling, I've, been mobile with the show. And it got to a point once we got to this year, it felt like something needed to adjust with the show. Didn't need a major change, a major makeover, but something needed to adjust in the way the information is being presented. Because life is changing, the world is changing, and we could either be doing things the same way in the same loop over and over, or kind of go with whatever the flow seems to be. And as I mentioned on the New Year's Eve show, and then right after that on the 3rd, if you recall, the videos that you've heard at the end of the shows have talked about dimensional changes, shifts. You've heard Dolores Cannon and a variety of others speaking about these dimensional shifts that we're going through. And so in all of this, and then when you look at the book of Revelation and other books of prophecy that are out there, channeled messages. It all seems to be one big message that the world is changing, life is changing, you're going through this shift. And in this shift, you are letting go of the shackles that you were being chained to, that were holding you down. But while you're going through the shift, there seems to be the period of time of not knowing that these shackles have been removed. And so there's still the necessity or the need or the habit of looking towards the darkness, all of the bad things that are going to go on. And so we look at those things and we get caught up thinking they're real. And perhaps all we need to do is turn away from them. Because what I found as I've looked on a daily basis for news stories and really researched what's going on out there, I started to really find that the problems that face the world now are the same problems that faced the world 40 years ago. We just have more technology to recognize the problems, so more people are capturing when they're happening. And as we look through history and we see that the same problems have occurred over and over and over again, it really kind of puts it in perspective that we are in some sort of a loop. We're in this loop and we keep playing over and over the same way of doing things. It's like when you turn on television. Think of how many times you've seen reruns. We play the same things over and over, even when it's regular programming. You get reruns all the time. And we're in this loop of always replaying things over and over again. Well, maybe we need to stop with all the replaying of everything. You know, be aware of our history, be aware of what's out there, but maybe we need to find some new way of incorporating that and looking forward. So that's kind of been my dilemma, my thought of where to go with the show. And so certainly one of the things that I want to make a change with is the way in which I'm approaching the information dealing with current events and the conspiracy theories, because we know that they're out there. So to continue to just point out that they're out there, it really doesn't do any good. We need to find solutions through what's going on. We need to kind of organize ourselves and our minds so that we don't allow ourselves to get caught up in all of that, because I think it's all about a choice. So those are some of the things that's moving around up here in me noggin, and as time goes by, they will all unfold. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. All right, there you go. UFO News is up next. Stay tuned.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. A lot today. 10 stories today. 10. All right, the first story here comes to us from Hollywood, California. I look in the skies every night just to see if I'm going to catch one of these, but nothing yet. But one day. New amazing video footage of a triangle-shaped UFO sighting recorded in the night sky above Hollywood on the 8th of January. I recorded this the other day, but didn't realize it was so odd until reviewing the footage later on. It's a UFO until someone can provide the make, model, aircraft it is. I'm not saying it's alien, but okay. So there you go. That's what was seen above there. And yes, that's not a normal airplane that usually flies over Hollywood, California. Because out here we have the Burbank Airport and the LAX Airport. That's not one of the type of planes that you usually see coming from either of those locations. Alright, moving on to the next story here, we have Mexico City. This was on the 12th. There's our image, a little blurry, but nonetheless you can see that there's something quite large there in that image. The object was videotaped on Sunday the 12th in the southern part of Mexico City, 3:14 p.m. Here we have video of it right here. See, it's a pretty good size object. You can see that it just seems to be moving around pretty good, or the camera operator's just dealing with a lot of wind. Alright, very interesting. Let's look what this one is here. This one is at nighttime. That's not the same one. Alright, let's move on from here. This time we're going to go over Harrow, London, UK. Footage of multiple UFO lights recorded in the night sky above Harrow on the 12th. I was walking home from work. Just as I was turning into my road, I noticed these 8 bright colored lights. So, video itself is just about 30 seconds, 28 seconds in length. Alright, so check that out, see what you think about that one. Next one over here is Tijuana, Mexico. We got the plane, we got the orb right here. This orb was caught near a passing jet this week. Most white orbs are hard to see because of the clouds they hide in, but if you want to catch one, you need a blue background sky so you can catch them moving from cloud to cloud. Alright, that's a good way to do it. Look for the blue in the sky so you get the difference as they zip from the cloud. There's the plane, there's the object, just passing right by. Alright, pretty cool. Now we have a triangle UFO visits the space station on live cam. Here's a screenshot of it right there. This comes to us from StreetCap 1. The ISS is having more UFO visits than ever. This is the 3rd report of UFO at the ISS this week with a video to back it up. StreetCap 1 of YouTube caught this one and it looks like a triangle craft UFO. Alright. So it's out there. So they are not alone. Alright, up by the sun we have some activity. Here's a interesting looking sphere. This comes to us from the 10th of January. So what perhaps do you think that is? Sure, there will be some explanation given by NASA at some point in time. This round anomaly near the sun was discovered this week and shows a large round object moving away from the sun. Many people last year saw this round UFO, except back then it had a tornado-like vortex between it and the sun. Back then everyone assumed it was a massive ship sucking energy from our sun and transporting it to other worlds. I believe this is possible, but cloaking something that big would be hard and ever to get the tech to make. I believe what we see is the energy being removed from our sun and being transported somewhere else using a small drone that is not visible, but can use some type of force field tractor and hold it and pull it. Alright, it's an interesting idea. And as you can see, it's a pretty fascinating object, whatever it is. Okay, let's move on from here. This is over Saudi Arabia. New video of a fast, unidentified flying objects flying across the sky above Prophet's Mosque in Medina, Saudi Arabia. There they are right there. Okay, see they're moving pretty good, and you can see there's definitely lights in them. Okay, let's move from Saudi Arabia on to our next location, up to the moon. Mysterious moon object spotted on Google Moon has experts baffled. Okay, there's this right here. But what is it? It's roughly 410 feet by 300 feet in size. Okay, look at that. So you gotta zoom way, way down to catch it, but once you do, there it is. Something is symmetrical about that right there. Yeah. Alright. So that's pretty interesting. And that certainly is not something I think that was created by nature. It seems to be something more. Okay. So links available. You can check that out. From there, we're going to go over to Paducah, Kentucky. This was on the 15th. Interesting video footage of multiple UFO lights forming a triangle shape formation in the daytime sky above Paducah, Kentucky on the 15th. Witness said, "Can anyone explain this or see this?" We've few thoughts. There's the object. You see it up here. The short video, if you can blow up the screen, you certainly see it much better. Okay, so they flew at least a mile and then they lost sight of them. And one more UFO story here today. This was over Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. This was new, interesting video footage of a bright UFO light recorded in the sky above North Myrtle Beach. Here we have our bright white round orb we are very familiar with. That's pretty much what goes on. It just kind of floats there for a while. Alright. So that is our UFO news for today. Stay tuned. I'll be back with some more.
Definitely, this has something to do with the human spirit and the human potential. Yeah, I'd say it's quite spiritual.
Alright. So as you saw from the graphic there, you saw a title called Dumpster Diving. Dumpster Diving. This is kind of the idea of this little segment here. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he'll probably be on an upcoming show discussing this a bit further. But where we're headed as a people is very important. And where we're headed is someplace that maybe is different than where we've been in the past. So if we're judging where we're going and we're basing that upon the past, it might not necessarily, if it's the more recent past, it might not necessarily be the best judge of how to get there, because as I said, we keep going in loops. And society seems to be decaying. We can all see that. If you don't see that, then you're obviously not paying attention, because we see it in so many ways. Our politicians are lying. The Congress here in the United States and around the country, the other politicians and leaders in their countries are lying and corrupted. The agencies that are supposed to protect people around the country are all corrupted, and instead of protecting them are spying upon them and then justifying their actions. The IRS is out of control. The TSA at the airport. I mean, it's one thing after another. And if we look at those, it can get really depressing. It can get very depressing, and it can be very overwhelming for people. How many times have you spoken with somebody telling them what's going on, only to have them tell you that they can't hear that, it's too much for them to deal with? Or you're in a situation, you kind of feel like you're the the one person who's bringing the news and events, and it seems that all of the news and events have some sort of bad undertone to them because they just talk about all of the bad things that are going on. Well, there's a lot of crap out there. There's a lot of garbage. But as my friend was reminding me to use as a perspective was the idea that you can go into the garbage, you can find gold, you can find good things, which is where the idea of the dumpster diving came from. So the objective is to weed through what's out there, to weed through the garbage, but looking for the gold that's there. Because we can get inundated very easily with the continued stories of the lies. Do you really need me to tell you every day about how politicians are lying to you? Not really, because all it's going to do is just going to, frustrate you. What we need to do is find solutions. Solutions come from connecting together in our ideas and our thoughts so that we're not fooled, so that we are paying attention, and then finding ways to put our energy and use our energy so as we're focusing it in the way we want it to go. So the first thing we want to look at amongst all of this information here is this idea of truth, war, propaganda, CIA, mind manipulation. And it's very important, very, very important, because our minds are what get us through each and every day, what gets us through life. And if our minds are manipulated, if they're compromised, then we're not fully operating the way that we need to be. And that's what the problem is here. You see, we have given up our trust, for the most part, to those who say they're going to make life better for us, our politicians. What we don't realize is that, for the most part, the politicians have sold out the people that they're supposed to represent. And they've done it a long time ago. And history has gone on. And in order to cover for these lies, media agencies continue to pop up. And then these agencies are supported by the organizations that are lying. And so their money goes to support those lies or to cover it up. And some truths are thrown in there so that you're not suspicious. And then the lies continue. And then as the lies continue, pretty much, people start to get wise to it. So you have to find other ways. So you start going into their education systems and you start changing them, revising history. And you kind of see where it goes. It goes to a point where it is right now, where whatever we're seeing around us is being manipulated. And if we don't see that manipulation, if we're not aware of it, then it's just going to go on, and we're not going to be aware of what's being used. It's like someone's playing a Jedi mind trick on us. So the first thing is we have to get control of our own minds. We have to get control of our own minds, make sure no one else is using it. And we have to know the tricks and the ways in which others are out there. So we have to sort through the garbage, the nonsense that's out there, to find out what's beneficial. Now, what's beneficial all of this is if somebody else can manipulate your mind, it means that the mind can be worked. So if you can go through and understand this technology, understand what's going on, your mind might even be more powerful because you've taken control of it. You found the weak spot, and you found a way to strengthen it up so it's no longer the weak spot. It says, never before has it been so important to have independent, honest voices and sources of information. We are, as a society, inundated and overwhelmed with a flood of information from a wide array of sources. But these sources of information, by and large, serve the powerful interests in individuals that own them. The main sources of information for both public and official consumption include the mainstream media, alternative media, academia, and think tanks. The mainstream media is the most obvious in its inherent bias and manipulation. The mainstream media is owned directly by large multinational corporations, and through their boards of directors are connected with plethora of other major global corporations and elite interests. An example of these connections can be seen through the board of Time Warner. Time Warner owns Time Magazine, HBO, Warner Brothers, and CNN, among others. The board of directors include individuals past or presently affiliated with the Council on Foreign Relations, the IMF, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, Warburg Pictures, Philip Morris, and AMR Corporation, among many others. Two of the most esteemed sources of news in the U.S. are the New York Times, referred to in the paper of record, and the Washington Post. The New York Times has on its board people who are past or presently affiliated with Shining Plow International Pharmaceuticals, the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, Chevron Corporation, Wesco Financial Corporation, Kohlberg Company, Charles Schwab, eBay, Ford Motor, etc. Okay, so the point of this is to understand that what is going out there on the main channels is being manipulated. Doesn't matter what it is. And so first thing we have to learn to do is, if we're going to sift through any kind of garbage at all, is be able to understand what is real and what isn't. What's on that television box isn't real. What's on that television box is a scripted event. There's too much money at stake with the television programming that you watch to leave it up to chance that minutes are going to go by without being properly used. So things are scripted. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. We were talking about Hollywood and the award shows and behind the scenes what goes on, and it was surprising that for them to hear about the politics that's involved with what goes on, but that's the whole idea. Behind the scenes are all kind of politics in the world that make things happen. And then the general public is just supposed to see these events and see them for what they're supposed to be. It's supposed to be an award show. It's supposed to be a political event. It's supposed to be this. It's supposed to be that. But they're all scripted events. Scripted events intended to get a particular response. And so first thing we need to know is when we're looking at something scripted versus something that is an actual event. Our gift of discernment, our sense of discernment, will help us to understand. And once we do, then we can make a better decision on what's going on. And I believe that not only Americans, but people around the world would be better served if we had the ability to make better choices, because the choices were being based upon real information. Because we could look at a situation and say, nope, that's false. Nope, that news agency is making that story up. That's not real. Nope, that can't possibly be real because the events that they're talking about couldn't happen because they violate the laws of physics. So we need to be able to understand more. Understand how to look past the veil. And once we do, there's a lot of truth that's out there. This right here deals with that. Just is out on the AP. Bloggers have First Amendment protections. So as things are breaking down with the mainstream media, there are those who are stepping up. Alternative media, bloggers, and there's been some real concern that bloggers' First Amendment was going to be attacked and taken away, or they were going to be penalized. Well, here, Grant Pass, Oregon, Federal Appeals Court ruled Friday that bloggers and the public have the same First Amendment protections as journalists when sued for defamation. If the issue is of public concern, plaintiffs have to prove negligence to win damages. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ordered a new trial in defamation lawsuit brought by an Oregon bankruptcy trustee against a Montana blogger who wrote online that the court-appointed trustee criminally mishandled a bankruptcy case. The appeal court ruled that the trustee was not a public figure, which could have invoked an even higher standard of showing the writer acted with malice, but the issue was a public concern, so the negligence standard apply. So, very good. So, this is part of the gold that's out there. The gold is people are standing up. The gold is people are having their rights restored. the garbage is that we have to deal with all of the lies and the manipulation, the propaganda. But we can see through that. We don't have to be blind to it. And if we're not blind to it, if we're really seeing it for what it is, it's going to be that much better for us. Now I challenge you to take a look at history, and you'll find that the events, these First Amendment attacks that are going on against bloggers, they've been going on since the 60s. Before that. And they're continually going on. False flag events, they've been going on for a long while. Meteors falling from the sky, concerns for a long while. To live life from one deadline to the next, it's not really much of a way to live. And a lot of people get caught up in that. It's real easy to get caught up in it. The news propagates the fear that's out there, and so when we hear all of these rumors of things, it gets people moved, gets people acting differently. Remember, it's all about the propaganda, how you can move the people. And so the stories that are out there in the media are intended to move the people, to move them in some way or another through their emotions. And that's what's happening. All right, but we can change that. So there you go. That's our first installation there of dumpster diving, finding the gold in the garbage. All right.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Great Spirit, send down your love, send down your love, send down your love to us from above. Great Spirit, send down your love, send down your love, send down your love to us from above. Oh, 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 oh. Great Spirit, shine down your light, shine down your light, shine down your light to light our way. Great Spirit, shine down your light, shine down your light, shine down your light to light our way. Oh, 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 oh. Great Spirit, show us the way, show us the way, show us the way to live in peace every day. Great Spirit, show us the way, show us the way, show us the way to live in peace every day. Oh, 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 oh. The wheel of life keeps rolling, rolling, rolling round and round, round and round. Nothing you can do will stop it, stop it. Nothing will slow it down. You gotta keep on going.
Alrighty. So now that we are moving forward, it's a new year. There's changes going on. We understand that we're in the midst of a change, and we need to detox ourselves. We need to cleanse ourselves, and that's part of the process of getting clear. So what we have here is an article. It says a cheap, easy, and ancient way to get the toxic trash out of your body. It may seem odd with all the detox methods being touted, many of them being quite beneficial and others a bit radical, but one simple, inexpensive method actually removes harmful chemicals, heavy metals, and the toxic gunk created by the petrochemical business from your body. Now research is proving that sweating can help the body to eliminate toxins in one of the most natural, non-harmful ways possible. In a pioneering study published in the Archives of Environmental and Contamination Toxicology, wherein the bioaccumulated effects of toxic buildup in the body were explored, it was found that toxic elements were found in differing degrees in each of the blood, urine, and sweat. Serum levels for the most metals and metalloids were comparable with these found in other studies in the scientific literature. Many toxic elements appear to be preferably excreted through sweat, presumably stored in tissues. Some toxic elements readily identified in the perspiration of some participants were not found in their serum. Induced sweating appears to be a potential method for elimination of many toxic elements from the human body. So this is a good article about the process of sweating. There's different ways one can go about it: sweat lodges, steam rooms. So you can go into your own bathroom, turn on the bathtub, get it real hot, put your head over the sink with a towel. There's lots of different ways you can go about it. Get out, take a walk, do some exercise, and that will help to get these things out of your system. Now, as we clean our system, and the reason we are going through cleaning our system, cleaning our mind, cleaning our lives, is to take advantage of the change that is around us. So here's an article: How to Surf the Waves of Change. Do you feel like you just can't seem to stay upbeat due to all of the challenges that keep coming up over and over? Are you just about at the end of your rope on dealing with life's difficulties? Are you ready to get off this roller coaster? Well, the day came for you to begin to wake up in the middle of the commitment to buckle your seatbelt and to do your work, necessarily to begin to make different choices in life toward the goal of raising your vibration. Before you incarnated here, you had chosen a certain time when you would start to question why you were here and awaken to your role in changing the planet forever. In order to raise your vibration, you knew that you had to begin to transmute energies that were of a lower vibration. Right? So as you go through there, and as we wake ourselves up to this idea, it says that more and more people are waking up at lightning speed, and the process cannot be stopped. It is important to stay focused on the goal of integrating and expanding yourself, to pay attention to patterns. If the same situation seems to occur over and over again, then it is a sign to look at the root cause a little closer and feel your way through it this time. Those that choose to face their emotions will be having an extraordinary difficult time in 2014. Congratulations for being part of one of the most challenging and unique transitions in the history of our universe. What you accomplish here will affect the whole universe, because Earth is at the base level. Raise your base level and all is uplifted. Focus on that thought each time you think you just cannot do it anymore. Think of how disappointed you would be when you crossed over and you did your life review. You would say that you were so close. Everyone on this planet chose to be part of the experience, and successful graduation will catapult you to the place we all long for, home. Take time to focus on yourself is imperative. Don't forget, this is your play, and everyone is an actor in your play. Alright, so it's very important, as we go through these changes that we're going through. that we do really understand. One, we're all in this together, and two, there are changes going on. And so don't be distracted by all of the news events and all of the craziness out there, because in some ways it's meant to distract us from the spirit. You have to stay focused on the spirit, because that changes the game. Changes the game. All right, here's a daily message. This is from Archangel Michael. Here we go.
2014.
Archangel Michael and the councils of your higher selves.
We are here today to bring you another look at the subject we brought up in an earlier message. That subject is the makeup of who you are, of who we are. This seems to be a very complex and difficult subject from your point of view, but we assure you that it is not. The difficulty lies only in the newness of the thought for you. And then, of course, there are those who cannot or will not entertain such thoughts for their own personal reasons. Most of you who are reading this are those for whom that does not apply. It is time for you to begin to understand that you are a great deal more than what is surrounded by your physical bodies. Also, consider that this applies to every other person and every other entity around you. Even though your senses tell you that you have limits, that you are separate from everything, it is not, in fact, true. But that will lead us off on another tangent. What we wish to dispel now is your perception that life happens to you. And while we are at it, let's also get rid of the thought that things are determined before you get here and there is nothing you can do about it. There is no conflict between the ideas of counsels guiding your life and the fact that you are a being of free will. Now, why is that? Dearest friends, that is because just beyond the veil of your forgetting there is a continuance of you that sits with us and receives this guidance and agrees with it, in fact, helps to formulate it. You, in great part, are guiding you. And yet, even when you entertain this idea, you say, I would never choose this. You say that in your moments of pain, and we tell you that you would and you did. The trick, if it is one at all, is to look beyond the painful and ask, in what way is this serving me? That is a very difficult question to fathom in many situations. We do understand that. But it is true nevertheless. There is no being in this entire universe, or indeed any other, who decides to make you suffer for anything. Well, with the exception of yourself, of course. We ask you to look at this possibility. When and if life is not as you would have it be, where and for what are you judging yourself as less than, as wrong, as guilty, as needing to make up for? And if you just cannot imagine what that might be, that is all right. Forgive yourself anyway. For what might you be unable to forgive self when your Creator has already forgiven you? Are you really that harsh on yourself? Well, yes, you are, dear friends. In many, many cases, you are indeed. And you are separated from us and from Creator? It is not possible for you to be separate from Creator. You live in that illusion. You are never held separate from us, or your guides, or your families here either. There is, here, a much larger portion of you than you can imagine who is never apart from us. And so, in order to deal with your life, you have created another illusion. And then there is the truth that, were you able to perceive the truth of all we have just explained, you would not wish to remain where you are. And where you are right now is very much where you wish to be at this time. Take heart, dear ones. We know that it is a difficult place you find yourselves in. But you are there right now in order to change that and also to witness and experience that change. The heavy lifting is almost all completely done now. You are now in the position of learning how to bring about that which you desire with far less opposition than heretofore. The biggest problem for you now will be that change is often messy. But, as it will also be unfolding and not sudden, there will also be much to celebrate and delight in. Returning to the initial subject of this message, you will very soon begin, in fact many of you have already begun, you will very soon begin to feel the understanding of your greater selves and their relationship with the All. This will be something that will grow in you over all of your existence, but it begins. Thank you for your attention throughout this rather lengthy message. Love to you all, dear friends. Good day.
Okay, very nice message. And I have this site here, which is daily affirmations. We can check one of these out. Something to think about as we go through the course of the day. I face every challenge bravely. My inner strength bolsters me. I trust and value my life. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath. Exhale. Keep your eyes closed. Take another deep breath. And exhale slowly. And think this thought: I face every challenge bravely. My inner strength bolsters me. I trust and value my life journey. I face every challenge bravely. My inner strength bolsters me. I trust and value my life journey. Imagine yourself on this life journey. Imagine yourself traveling along the path of life. And as you do, you see many things. You see things from your past that you forgot were part of your story. You understand the reason for their lesson. And you understand why you have moved to where you are now. And as you travel through life, you realize that life is continuously teaching. And as we open our minds to understanding what life is showing, we find ourselves growing and growing, expanding with the planet. So see ourselves expanding with the planet, growing and evolving. See the planet moving through dimensional space. And as it does, seeing the beings of the earth moving along with it. And as it does, see the actual separation between the 3D earth and the 4th and 5D earth. See them pulling apart and separating, seeing all the negativity fall away, and the positivity continue to move forward. And let's just imagine ourselves moving along the path of positivity. Just focused on the good things we want in life. And allowing that belief to expand outward so that the goodness does find its way into our lives. And let's just think a good thought for everybody around the world at this point in time. Let's take another deep breath. And exhale. And let's bring our energy and our attention back to the present moment on a count of 3. One more deep breath. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. One more deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is it for today. Thank you very much. We'll see where it's going to go from here. What kind of further adjustments will be. As I said, I want to have more guests on the show. Find some ways to do some interaction between myself and you. Send me your emails, your thoughts, comments, and we'll see where we go. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.